Hello everyone, it is me, Game Penguin 21, and today, well, Elden Ring DLC has been out for at least some time, and this is probably the last amount of the assault that I can probably squeeze from it without going into actual videos on it, which I'll probably do in the coming weeks, but as of right now, I have a couple videos planned, so maybe this one will be Elden Ring, maybe the next one will be Elden Ring, and then the following will be like more gaming hot takes, or just like general hot takes in general. Trying to spread out a little bit more of that. But in terms of Twitter, what are people talking about on this? Well, for those of you who may or may not be living under a rock, the Elden Ring DLC has been garnering a very interesting mixed review despite its overwhelmingly popularity in terms of the original actual game. Very strange in some regards, but also not as strange as you might expect it to be, if you know the people having the skill issues and stuff. Now, there might be a couple of interesting reviews that I can maybe pull from the Steam store of negativity, which I think would just be really fun to talk about. But again, we'll get to that maybe in a later video. But of course, we're going to look at the Twitter stuff today, so strap yourselves in and get ready for some interesting Twitter salt that I just happen to have scraped off the top of it. This is also going to go into more general stuff in terms of like general gaming news as we go on, but yeah, we'll see what I keep and we'll see what I don't keep. But of course, if you want to help me out in any way, shape, or form other than that, a like and a subscribe would be very helpful, as well as the fact that I have recently released my new music for the gamers that actually came out earlier this week, both on Bandcamp as well as the video on my channel. Go up and maybe take a listen to it. Really like it and appreciate your viewership. That being said, let's start off, of course, with Nicola saying gamers can be an ungrateful fucking bunch sometimes, where he is referring to the Elden Ring being at a mixed review. Ah, yes. Gamers are ungrateful because they are very critical of something, or in this context, just have a fucking skill issue and are just absolute ass in some regards here. Now, I find it interesting how he says that gamers in this context are ungrateful, despite the fact that, again, like, this is Nicola we're talking about here. Pot, kettle sometimes, you know? Very strange here. Next up here we have Menus with everyone having fun with the Eurogame. Everyone made fun of Eurogamer for saying that Shadow of the Erdtree was too hard in their review, but now the Steam reviewers have plummeted from overwhelmingly positive to mixed, mostly because of saying things are too hard. Had your mind make up, people. Now, I wanted to talk about this one, but just basically because this one got community noted, and I think that it's actually really, really funny here, where they added a context to there saying, while there are a few reviews, noting the difficulty, the mass majority of reviewers are focused on performance issues. The issues appeared with the DLC and affect all zones of the game, even zones that existed before the release of the DLC. So it just seems that there is some performance issues that they might have to draw with a couple of kinks, and so this being out for a little bit over a week, I'm fairly certain that that sort of hot fix actually did end up going through fairly quickly. But yeah, there are people complaining about skill issues and it being too hard, which we'll get into some of those people later in this video. Over here we have a Zeo Storm saying, Elden Ring DLC currently getting review bombed on Steam because the bosses are too hard, and then goes to list off a couple of these things. Of the reviews that's unfortunately got a little bit cut off. Orzen, Smog, Fume Knight, Never, Nameless King were peak Dark Souls bosses in my opinion, dodging endless combos, blah, blah, blah. Repeat, I am bored. So, again, those are just like some of those stuff there. Not really much else to say on this, just that there are people basically talking about how it's too hard and that they're not knowing what game that they're playing and, you know, stuff like that. But you got to remember some of these people have these sorts of interesting skill issues. But I wanted to point this out because, again, for those of you who are being like, oh, well, these bosses are a bit fucking hard here and it's weird. Someone literally hooked up like one of those brain neuro thing stuff and was able to beat the first boss in the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. So, you know, maybe just get a little bit better at the game. There's someone literally like this sorts of story. I'm not sure if this. I'm fairly certain that this is true because this is Dexterto and they kind of do that, but I wouldn't trust it completely. I might be thinking of a thing, but this is one of those things where you look at it and it's like someone beat the Elden Ring with DK bongos. Someone beat all of the Elden Ring games without dying once. Like all of the all the games and stuff. Like that's pretty cool. And, of course, from Elden Ring Media here, this kind of sums up a lot of this discourse surrounding this being like there are two types of players with this game is hard and this game is hard, where there's like some people sad about it and then some people really fucking happy about it. More from Elden Ring alerts here. Again, it's another meme of like, I fucking told you, it's shame, it scaled with the level, and probably wanted to do that. And I have a few of these tweets that I did that. And then we have here from Sweet Peach Games saying, going back to Kaled after playing through the DLC, where it's like, perhaps I treated you too harshly. And you know what? Maybe you did, just a little bit. Same thing with Melania, but, you know, it's really funny. Another one here saying that he takes 0 damage and never stops attacking. Spells don't cast fast enough to get off. I mean, what's the purpose here? That sounds like a complete and utter skill issue in this context. Maybe get better at the game. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say on this because, again, I haven't actually played the DLC personally. I just wanted to talk about some of these because, again, it's quite interesting to see the response as to how, like, oh, this game is really fucking difficult. It is a Souls-like game, sir. You will die continuously, and you might just want to, you know, get better at the game mechanics. And again, going back to Dexterto here with, I think the DLC is too hard to be fun, with Asmongold rage quitting and talking about the DLC in and of itself. And then readers adding context, again, another interesting community note here, saying that Asmongold didn't quit Shadow of the Erdtree. He said he'll give it another try, which he did yesterday in yesterday's stream, and decided he'll continue playing it with a new build. For a full context with the actual clip there. And he did say that he would continue to do it, but again, I've seen more people commenting and talking about Asmongold's takeaway from this, saying that the game is still too bad in this, but at the same time, there is still a lot of people out there that say that a certain game's bad. Speaking of bad, interesting games, I wanted to also talk about this and say that, well, this kind of led me down a very interesting small rabbit hole where someone by the name of Rock Solid basically talked about how you never you will never be a recognizable franchise. You have no good mascot or character. You have no legacy. You have no industry plant twisted by Sony to be pushed into every PlayStation. You are nothing more than a Ubisoft slop packaged in a Sony wrapper, where people were, where he was specifically, I think, talking about Nicola again, which is quite interesting because there's a meme that he's responding to in this is, oh my god, another Horizon game with Lego Horizon Adventures, where I'm surprised that some people are, like, complaining about the new Lego Horizons game. Like, this sounds really cool. And then with the Lego Legend of Zelda, where you're actually playing as, you know, Zelda again, and people are like, oh my god, it's the Legend of Zelda. Again, are these people in here right now? But Nicola, of course, had to respond to this because it was a retweet, and he said, Zero Dawn comes out, people love it. Forbidden West comes out, people love it. DLC comes out, where Aloy kisses another girl, and suddenly this is the average take all you cowboys have on the game. Now it's an industry plant for whatever fucking reason. Look, I didn't even know that there was a Horizon Forbidden West DLC that came out where that actually happened, but I find it interesting how that is not the first time that they've had this sort of thing come out, where the game itself was praised for the game, and then a sequel comes out where the person turns out to be, like, gay or something like that, and people were upset about it. Like, you can't look me in the eye, face holes, and say that there isn't such thing as maybe sometimes there is a certain agenda and stuff being pushed there. I'm not gonna say that. But at the same time, it's quite a weird thing that happened twice. You know, it happened with The Last of Us, where The Last of Us 1 was praised and stuff. The DLC comes out and people were like, yeah, maybe there's some things there. And then The Last of Us, like, sequel comes out and it's confirmed gay, and people were like, oh my god. And, you know, again, I'm not defending Sony here. I mean, in this context, I'm not defending The Last of Us Part 2 at all. In this place, I don't think The Last of Us Part 2 was a good game. So, yeah, that should tell you a lot there. Where the RVV in 1994, the roof or the whatever, says that Horizon hate on Twitter is so forced. Lol. No wonder people say Twitter isn't a real place, because good ground reality is often the opposite of what Twitter would like to believe in. Just 2 entries selling 32 million is not a recognizable now. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, not particularly. Because with 2 entries of a game that is this popular, 32.7 million seems to be kind of underselling it, at least a little bit to me. And what I also want to talk about here is that this is talking about the entire Horizon Forbidden West franchise. And considering that this was posted in 2023, about a year ago, I'm fairly certain that this also accounts for, say, some of the sales on maybe PC and other platforms, and it doesn't doesn't divvy up how much was from the first game, how much was from the second game. It just talks about the entire Horizon Forbidden West franchise. So yeah, 32.7 million sounds like a lot, but when you incorporate and break down the actual numbers of how many were bought on which systems versus how many were bought in terms of the sequel versus the sequel versus the first game versus the second game, I should say, it's like you gotta break down those numbers for me. I want to see it. So quite interesting how that little rabbit hole kind of shaped up there. But speaking of hating on things, apparently for no reason, when there is clearly actual good critique and criticisms of these types of things, the PlayStation VR 2, where, again, people waking up and saying that Sony hates the PlayStation VR 2 and how they are reportedly already canning a lot of this. And again, you can kind of read the specifics of the tweet. I mentioned it a little bit on the stream of that. But as someone who has actually followed the PlayStation VR 2, there is actually legitimate fucking criticisms for this to be in existing. Like, for one example, and I will always now say this, is that Sony is the company that will take 1 good step forward, but then take 2 steps backwards. For example, in this context, they're bringing the PlayStation VR 2 to officially supported on PC. That's great. You need a separate adapter in order to actively, do that, and that's usually a separate purchase of like $60, which is kind of bad, but, not the worst thing. It doesn't have feature parity with that of the PlayStation, including things like eye tracking and haptic feedbacks that are not there. I don't think it's specifically haptic feedback. I think it's like the adaptive triggers, even though those types of things can actually be built into VR. If they want to do it on their own app or something like that, run it through the own app. There's ways to make this. It's just, oh my God. To me, this is like saying, oh, well, people hate on the PSVR 2 because there's and they make up all these things. Sony literally reported that they will not be feature parity and stuff, which is a major drawback when it comes to selling this thing. And not to mention the fact that the PSVR 2 has not had a lot of good games coming out, or at least I haven't seen a lot of good games that have gotten a lot of marketing to it. And not only that, but it's also just been stuck to the PlayStation platform in and of itself, which while is a big platform, doesn't contain the same amount of enthusiasts or the same amount of people that want this sort of VR headset to be the norm. Those people are mostly on PC because that's where most, if not a lot of the PC VR headsets were for a long time. I know that they have swifted over to more standalone headsets that can have PC capabilities, but I've always touted that if Sony just released this day and date with PC support, right, where you could switch between your PlayStation and your PC, that is a good niche that is not being filled by fucking anyone at this point. They would dominate that market, and it would get 2 birds with 1 stone. What the fuck is going on right here? But yeah. More weird discourse. This was a very, very strange tweet that I just wanted to talk about as well, with the Red Dragon saying deranged Xbox fan goes off when asked about why they're signing petitions to port big games that are skipping Xbox and why they don't, and why not just buy a PC or PS5, where it's this clip where this woman is yelling about my choice. Look, the problem with that is that the context, I think, of this clip is that they are going for the choice of, I think this has to do with with something completely different and unrelated. I don't know if it's specifically what I'm thinking about, but I won't confirm nor deny what I am thinking about here. But saying, right, that it's their choice is true in this context. If they don't want to buy Xbox or PlayStation or PC, that's their choice. Just like how I don't want to buy any consoles at all because my PC is very much good enough for everything that I can do with it. Like, I rely a lot on my PC. It's not the end of the world that this happens. And yeah, not everyone can afford to buy PC or to buy an Xbox or a PlayStation or whatever. That's just the way it is, and I'm sorry for that. If you want a game, you gotta make the investment in your hobby. But again, you're telling it like it's only Xbox people that are doing this. And, you know, not PlayStation guys who have also done this. Like, huh? I think to round this out for a more PlayStation-centric focus here, we have the PS5 Pro is the world's most powerful console, where it's going to be apparently releasing holiday 2024, and you can basically read through all of this supposed claims that have been here for rumors of this from TCFM Games, who is a notable PlayStation fanboy. This then led to Josh here saying that 3 screenshots that demonstrate the absolute state of PC versus console gaming. Console, it's for the players. PC, it's for the players. No one can play anything on the other. You can play what you're allowed to play. Oh no, on one you can play anything, on the other you can play. Yeah, so this is just using Quake as an example. Now the screenshot is a bit cut off here, so you're gonna have to kind of trust me on this a little bit. But looking up the prices for the Nintendo Switch port of Quake, the original Quake, mind you, I believe it was about like $50 to $60, whereas on Steam, the original Quake is only around $10. It's a little cut off there. Again, you're going to kind of have to trust me a little bit on this one, but again, you can pretty much just look up Quake, Nintendo Switch price on Google, and it'll probably come up with a lot of the same results. You might find one that's like for $10 or whatever, but if you're going to buy it like for the Switch, it's around $60, and this thing came out in 1996, according to at least Google. Again, you can kind of have to, you're going to kind of have to verify a little bit of it because I didn't do my due diligence and, you know, make sure to keep the stuff there. But then we have J1 here with a definition of PC gaming stuck behind a desk on a 28-inch 144 hertz screen. I mean, that pretty much sounds like a pretty optimal gaming thing. Whereas the definition of console gaming is hooked up to a 75-inch TV with 9.1 surround sound, sitting back on a comfortable sofa. I had a friend that had a multimedia monitor set up where his main, or one of his main monitors was an actual like 75-inch TV, and he kind of used that to read his Discord or something like that, where he actually hooked that up to his PC to be able to actually, you know, play and operate in those in those games. I just find it interesting how people are like, "Oh, you can't hook up your PC to the TV." You've been able to for a long time now. A screen just needs the correct input, so like an HDMI or something like that, or you can do an HDMI converter. Like, you don't need to just gatekeep it like this. It's very strange. Someone named Gifted, I guess, came back with definition of PC gaming: free games from any publisher forever available. More frames than console apologists could ever imagine as a concept, and a seamless transition between video, gaming, and more. Definition of console gaming: a machine that trying to mimic a PC, where he then comes back with a free games from any publisher forever available. Yes, content creators on consoles have the same privilege as to my guy. 60 FPS to 120 FPS on console is more than enough frames for me. That is depending on the actual game, and of course, this is not a standard. The 60 to 20 FPS thing has been debunked even to this day, where not every game actually hits that. That's like coming at someone and saying, "Oh, this fridge here is a smart fridge, so I can see what's inside with this whole window set up and stuff. Whereas this fridge, you'd have to open it up and blah blah blah." Look, at the end of the day, right? We have more free and available games that are for cheaper prices on the PC that are available until either the publisher decides to pull them off of Steam or Steam themselves takes them down, which more often than not, it's the publisher that does that, like the person that has the rights to it, or the developer because they have to make an adjustment or something like that. And Steam does step in when is needed, obviously. But yeah, there's a lot of free games on there. For example, one of the games that I continuously tout, and one of the games that a lot of people also continuously tout, are games like The Finals and X Defiant, both of which I think are on all the platforms. But again, those are just two games that are free to play on all platforms. There are a lot of games out here that are free to play even just on PC. For example, another one is Nightmare Card. You can download that for free. That's not available anywhere else because of licensing rights or whatever. But, of course, I just wanted to end this off with Blue's response to the definition of the PC thing versus console thing, saying you're doing it wrong with an absolutely just clean-ass TV setup. Look at that. Look at the blues and everything. This is... I love it. This is also on, I believe, Windows 11 as well. I don't know the default background. But, again, saying that you're doing it wrong, yeah, you're doing it wrong because you can hook up your PC to TV. In any case, I think that'll about do it for this video. There was another thing that I was going to talk about, which is former PlayStation boss Sean Linden that says we need to get this platform war out of the way and get down to a standard home console thing. But I think that deserves its own video in and of itself, because that whole debate of like getting it down to one standard home console, dude, you don't want a monopoly, because in every single country out there, they will literally break that shit up, even for entertainment purposes. With that being said, guys, I think that'll again about do it. I'm a little tired and bored, and this video is probably going to take me a little bit to edit. But with that being said, my name is GamePang21. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do implore so much in these, and I will say thank you again for watching this video. Check out my new album /EP /whatever. Link in the description to the Bandcamp and stuff like that. Check out more of my music. Come see me live. I usually stream on the weekends. Check my Twitch, twitch.tv/GamePang21. With that being said, again, thank you for watching. I've said that like 3 times. And a peace. Off.